Most people in the West have never even heard of this company, yet it quietly became one of the most powerful, profitable, and deeply embedded corporations on Earth. Imagine waking up one day and realizing the biggest tech giant in your life isn't Google, Apple, or Meta, but a Chinese company whose mascot is a cute little penguin. Except, and here's the twist, if you wanted a real mascot, you'd probably replace that penguin with a massive octopus, because Tencent doesn't just touch one part of modern life. Its tentacles reach into almost every industry you can imagine. That's the wild part. In the West, most people barely know the name Tencent, but in China, it's practically impossible to live a single day without it. And once you understand what Tencent really is, how it works, and what kind of power it has, you'll see why so many governments and security agencies around the world are terrified of it. The heart of Tencent's empire is a single app, WeChat. And when I say app, I don't mean an app in the American sense where you use one thing for messaging, one for banking, one for shopping, one for food delivery, one for entertainment. No. WeChat is China's everything app, used by almost all 1.4 billion people for an average of 4 hours every day. Imagine if Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, PayPal, Netflix, Spotify, Uber, Amazon, Yelp, Tinder, Zoom, YouTube, and DoorDash somehow merged into one unstoppable digital beast, and then imagine that this one app became the primary way people communicate, shop, work, pay bills, hail taxis, share memories, run businesses, and even validate their identity. That is WeChat. It's convenient, addictive, and completely unavoidable, which is exactly why it's also incredibly dangerous. Because once an app becomes the center of everything, it also becomes the perfect tool for control. The line between Tencent and the Chinese government gets blurrier the more you look at it, and according to the investigation summarized in the video, the Chinese Communist Party essentially has full access to data like your location history, your banking activity, private messages, and even phone calls. Everything you send gets scanned. Everything you receive gets checked. If you send a meme, an image, or a message that the government disapproves of, even privately, you can be flagged. People across China have been punished or questioned simply for expressing opinions the government didn't like. Amnesty International gave Tencent a score of 0 out of 100 for its handling of encryption and privacy, accusing it of a direct backdoor that lets the CCP access user messages. And it doesn't stop at messages. During the COVID-19 outbreak, the same WeChat ecosystem was used to create a color-coded health pass system that determined where people could go, what they could do, and whether they were allowed to leave their homes. Green meant free movement, yellow meant restrictions, red meant quarantine. Overnight, Tencent's super app became a government enforcement system. And the influence spreads into gaming, entertainment, and culture. Any game, show, or media running through Tencent's platforms must align with Communist Party values. Even the stories inside video games get censored or rewritten to support the government's preferred narratives. Now, here's where things get even crazier. Tencent wasn't built by some flashy billionaire who loves the spotlight. Its founder, Pony Ma, is famously private, almost invisible. No Elon Musk tweets, no Zuckerberg testimonies, no Bezos-level interviews. Just silence. And yet behind that silence is one of the most valuable companies on Earth. But Tencent didn't start as some genius innovation machine. In fact, its earliest business strategy was simple: copy everything that works. Their first big product was OICQ, which was basically a clone of the instant messaging program ICQ. They copied the layout, the features, the user experience, everything. Eventually they renamed it QQ, but the clone DNA was obvious. In the beginning, Tencent was actually broke. They were on the verge of collapse until they secured a $2.2 million investment just in time to survive. And once QQ took off, Tencent discovered something that changed their destiny forever. Teenagers loved buying digital items. Tencent sold virtual clothing, digital accessories, and tiny paid add-ons that let users customize their avatars. And people went crazy for it.
That early microtransaction model eventually evolved into what we now know today as in-game purchases, the exact system that Fortnite, Roblox, and mobile games rely on to make billions. And yes, Tencent helped pioneer that model. Tencent's win over Microsoft's MSN Messenger in China gave the company total national dominance in messaging, and from that position, they began branching into every other digital industry. But if there's one place where Tencent changed the world more than anywhere else, it's gaming. Tencent leveraged the Great Firewall, China's internet barrier that limits foreign competition, to build the largest gaming empire on the planet. They bought 100% of Riot Games, the creators of League of Legends, and they bought 40% of Epic Games, the creators of Fortnite. They own pieces of Ubisoft, Activision Blizzard, and Supercell, and dozens of other top studios. The biggest gaming companies in the West rely on Tencent's investments and money. In sheer revenue, nobody beats Tencent in gaming. Not Sony, not Microsoft, not Nintendo. But the craziest part is how Tencent pushes its employees. Internally, Tencent is known for a brutal shark womb culture where different teams inside the company compete to build versions of the same product, and only the best version survives. This cutthroat approach is how WeChat was born. The team created the app in 2011 specifically for mobile, unlike QQ, which came from desktop, and it exploded in popularity. WeChat rolled out feature after feature at lightning speed: voice messages, social media feeds, digital blogging platforms, and more. But the true game changer was the red packet feature launched during Lunar New Year. In Chinese culture, red envelopes filled with money are a major holiday tradition. Tencent turned that cultural habit into a digital experience, letting people send small amounts of money through WeChat. Overnight, millions of Chinese people tried WeChat Pay for the first time. And once people realized it was easier than cash or credit cards, the entire country shifted towards mobile payments. Today, in much of China, cash is practically obsolete. Even street vendors take WeChat Pay. And then came mini programs, tiny apps running inside WeChat that replaced the need to download separate apps from the App Store or Google Play. Shopping, games, food delivery, dating, banking, ride-hailing, even government services, all inside WeChat. Tencent created a digital universe where people could live their entire lives. But all of this power comes with massive controversy. Tencent has been accused of using monopoly tactics, copying competitors, collecting extensive user data, complying with censorship demands, and enabling one of the most advanced digital surveillance systems on Earth. Countries outside China have raised national security concerns. Regulators have investigated Tencent's influence over gaming, social media, and entertainment. And yet, despite all that, Tencent remains one of the most profitable and powerful companies in the world, bigger than almost any Western tech giant, and still expanding. And here's the eerie truth. While China already lives inside Tencent's Everything app ecosystem, Silicon Valley is racing to build something similar. Facebook wants it, X wants it, every tech CEO wants an all-in-one super app. But the story of Tencent shows how easily convenience turns into dependence, and how dependence turns into control. Tencent is an incredible business success story, a masterclass in growth, adaptation, and monetization. But it's also a warning of what happens when one company gains so much access, so much power, and so much data that it becomes inseparable from the government itself. Whether you view it as genius innovation or high-tech authoritarianism, one thing is undeniable. Tencent reshaped the digital world, and its influence is only growing.